Again a big news, but a big assassination. The Israeli Defense Forces said they killed the military chief of staff of Hezbollah, Haytham Ali Tabatabai, in a targeted airstrike in Beirut's southern suburb. Lebanon's government has called for international action to stop such strikes, warning of escalation. The strike marks a significant escalation, possibly a new red line with implications for Lebanon, Israel and regional stability. Middle East again becoming the news headlines. Welcome to SATV's International Affairs, broadcasting from SATV's Dhaka studio. My name is Rashid Kanchan. I will be your host. I have a very distinguished panelist, Ali Ahmed, former member, Customs National Board of Revenue, a very learned person, very well known in his field. He is good at international affairs. We have our international affairs commentator Shamsul Pantho, and from Washington we have our geopolitical correspondent based in Washington DC, Norman. Norman, I want to begin from you, because though weather in Washington is very cold right this moment, temperature below 14, but the news is striking from Washington. What you gonna say and how you gonna start today? Norman from Washington.
Greetings from Washington DC. It's Monday morning here, very early, and the temperature is dropping. That's all I can say, but it's still nice, pretty nice. The talks today is about first Venezuela. The Trump administration is about to designate the Maduro organization as a terrorist group, official designation, cartel. And so the conversation is about what does that mean? Does it escalate the military buildup, or does it give him permission to go in with a ground attack? The other issue is dealing with Ukraine and Russia. Secretary Rubio has stated that he has made significant progress towards ending the war, but skeptics are stating that the terms are more skewed towards and favor of Russia, which means the issue with the relationship with the United States and Ukraine is becoming very tense. And the president of Ukraine stated that citizens may have to make a decision on to continue to protect the country and lose the support of the United States, or concede to the demands of Russia and the United States and lose out. So these are the topics today. And hopefully we can get some idea on exactly where things are going, hopefully when sunrise.
You are very smart, sir. Let me get more topics from our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho, who always keep eyes on world's top medias and news rankings. Sir, what you gonna start?
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanchan. A warm welcome to Ali Ahmed in the studio, and of course Norman Floyd Barnes joining us from Washington DC. I want to pick out for discussion today that the US and Ukraine drafted an updated and refined peace framework following talks in Geneva, according to various joint statements coming out of the White House. This is just a build-up of the 28-point plan that we were seeing for Ukraine, courtesy of US President Donald Trump. And as you were mentioning, that Israel has confirmed the death and assassination of Haytham Ali Tabatabai, who was of course the leader of Hezbollah. As we see, it has been 1 year since the ceasefire between these two sides have begun, but Israel is continuously breaking this ceasefire. And of course, we understand that the Israeli forces crossed into the Syrian territory. They have set up a checkpost and inspecting passing vehicles near the Ain al-Baida junction in northern Quneitra, in the latest violation of the country's sovereignty. So Israel is moving in to this area, and they are doing policing of the citizens, which I think is a violation of the ceasefire.
Exactly, sir. Washington Post broke the news. They said that Israel is assaulting the ceasefire. Israel is insulting the ceasefire. Israel is disrespecting the world leaders. Let me come back to a person who gather information, transform into knowledge, then wisdom. Ali Ahmed, my very favorite. Sir, I just want to know, Trump already tweeted that Ukraine has zero gratitude for the US peace plan related to Russia-Ukraine discussions. Somebody is claiming that Donald Trump is working for Vladimir Putin because his conditions goes in favor of Vladimir Putin, not the Ukrainians or Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. My first question would be, how realistic is the Trump proposed peace plan for Ukraine given the strong resistance from Kiev and Europe?
Working for I begin from here, working for Russia. Interestingly, 3 senators of the United States Senate, one of them independent, one is Democrat and the other is Republican. They said that the Secretary of State Marco Rubio told them that this is Russia's wish list, they first said. But later, of course, Marco Rubio refused it and said he didn't. And what was I was also feeling very angry with what was seen in the press first. But the Europeans proved more diplomatic, the European leaders I mean. They said, well, we can start from here, but there are things that have to be changed, etc., etc. So they all went to the discussion meeting, and I saw this morning BBC circulating, BBC telecasting, that the both joint statement of both Ukraine and Russia say that the progress has been satisfactory. Well, but the thing is, Russia is the main party. Russia is not present in the joint statement. So this also doesn't sound very well. And this zero gratitude. Well, Donald Trump often says things like that, and I was marking after this was said, the Ukrainians now say, thank the president very much, thank and so many things. It is a little childish, I would say.
All right, sir, but I have the different news. A 28-point proposal is circulating that reportedly would require Ukraine to hand over territory, their regions, reduce its military stay out of NATO. 3 big conditions which Kiev directly rejects. Let me connect with Norman. Norman, your president's 28-point plan has been rejected directly from Volodymyr Zelensky and from the mass people of Ukrainian generals, ministers, cabinets, MPs. Now, what you gonna say? I want to add, what might be the long-term risk for Ukraine if it accepts major concessions such as territory loss or limiting its defense capacity, military control, and quitting the ambition to go to NATO?
Yes, I'm not surprised that Ukrainian government rejected or is currently rejecting the 28-point proposal because it's not in their favor. The document was drawn up to heavily favor Russia and to reward them as the aggressor, being the aggressor, to give them preferential treatment, and Ukraine is viewed as the group that is not going to benefit from this. Gives the appearance of a surrender. Basically, the document states that Ukraine is surrendering its land, its authority, its power, its future towards Russia and the rest of the rest of his regime. NATO will have to look at this and reevaluate the relationship with the United States and determine how they're going to address this, because this is not just a Ukrainian thing. This is a European issue. It starts with one country and leads to another country, and next thing you know, we have another problem across Europe. So NATO has to determine exactly how they're going to come and deal with this. They're going to provide support and aid because it appears that the United States is going to, if Ukraine continue to not follow through on this, they're going to limit their aid and support to the Ukrainian movement. So the president mentioned that they will have to make hard decisions regardless on how they're going to move forward. But this 28 plan is basically you take it or you leave it. And right now, it looks like Ukraine is going to leave it on the table.
All right, Norman, I need to analyze these things with Shamsulam Pantho, our international affairs commentator. Sir, how might this proposal affect US leadership credibility among NATO allies and partners in Eastern Europe? Because NATO's were silent since last 10-11 months.
Thank you so much for the question. I think that it's highly significant to understand the battlefield. First of all, when Russia invaded parts of Ukraine, eastern Ukraine, it created a worldwide sentiment in where neighbors would now pick fighting with the surrounding. Some examples include India and Pakistan. Some include Israel and Iran. So these are close related neighbors who have started fighting as a direct result of Russia's example on Ukraine. Of course, the question that you mentioned, this 28-point plan is favoring the fact that Ukraine is going to lose out on its territory, on its sovereignty. We know the likes of Volodymyr Zelensky, someone coming back from the entertainment business into the political business. So once again, it's going to be a complex implementation. Many of the points that include economic integration, reconstruction, the IAEA trying to monitor the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, all of this is benefiting Russia to some extent. So this is where the US 28-point peace plan comes into play. Of course, Europe does not seem eye to eye with the US as a first this time around. But I enjoy the fact that the administration in the United States of America is understanding that Russia being the bigger dog in this fighting, there is more to be lost for Ukraine if they do not surrender now. That is the position of US.
Sir, I just want to get a direct answer from you. Do you think, not Donald Trump, I'm talking about the United States leadership, are going to lose with Vladimir Putin? Because in 28 points plan, we see most of the points goes in favor of Vladimir Putin and his desires, his wish, according to his direction. Nothing is there according to the interest of the Ukrainian people and Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukrainian's leader.
Well, to answer this question, I must come back to a White House ball dinner that happened many years back, in which Donald Trump and Barack Obama, the last president before Joe Biden, they had continuous attacks, in one which Obama stated that he is a friend of Vladimir Putin. One must be very careful with that fact. So when an outgoing American president had made that kind of comment, everyone was very quick to point the lines. But right now we see the 28-point plan favoring that very person and that very country, Russia. So once again, this time around, I think it's more of a strategic win for Russia, as they are choosing the US ally and the US is doing vice versa. But the US has not let go of Ukraine because it understands that it is a European problem that they are going to face. And on a previous show, I did mention about the Nord Stream pipeline. This is where economics and warfare come hand in hand. This pipeline was blown up by Joe Biden, the ex-president of the United States of America, or as media reports states. Yet we still do not know who are the real perpetrators of this crime, which has caused Russia to think otherwise.
I really like the bird's eye observation you have put on the table, sir. I want to get your comment too. What leverages do Russia, Ukraine and Europe each hold in shaping the outcome of these talks?
Well, if you have all read, but if you consider all the 28 points together, then you will see certain things emerging from it very clearly. First of all, Russia is now a pariah in the world stage. So it says reintegrating Russia into the world and G8 and all those things.
Yes.
And then also taking this electric, this Zaporizhia that you talked about, there would be IAEA under IAEA, and electricity produced will be divided 50-50 between the two countries. That is, although it is situated in the lands of Ukraine, the 50% of its production would be shared with Russia, and it will be supervised by the IAEA. So, virtually Ukraine does not have any sovereignty over there. So, this is one thing, and other thing, reintegrating Russia in the world mainstream, G8 and all those things will be coming in this according to these rules, these points, and then there would be also special relations between USA and Russia, bypassing the Europeans. In fact, USA bypassed, that is Donald Trump's USA bypassed the Europeans when they said his plans. It could have been a NATO plan, it could have been European plan or whatever. But the most important thing, after Russia comes, one thing is not being discussed, but it will create serious problem in this. USA is going to be given full right of mineral resource and other things in the Arctic region. You remember that Danish problem. He said one way or the other we will take this part. So, this is the way they are going to trying to take this part, Ukraine or the northern Denmark, by agreeing by getting agreed to by all the world. So, that is the thing that Denmark will not accept. I believe the Europeans will not also accept. And limiting, you have said both of you and all of you, limiting the armed forces to a particular number, 1,66 lakhs and all those things. That means a severe curtailment of his independent decision and sovereignty. But well, in exchange the Ukraine gets an assurance of not being attacked. America will stand by it also as a guarantor. But if Ukraine does anything wrong, the guarantee would be withdrawn. So, it is heavily tilted in favor of Russia, but then one assurance Ukraine may get out of this acceptance, that they will not be attacked further if it is accepted in letter and spirit. That is one thing, but is going to lose major parts, important parts of the eastern Ukraine, and these these island areas, not island really, that is very important for all the countries in the world. But it has changed hands so many times. Russia has lost, gained, lost, gained. Now it may gain again. Who knows who will get? That also perhaps Ukraine does not care much. But the other main territory, that should not have been assigned to Russia in the proposal. Till now, I saw this morning's bulletin. The both parties came out of the meeting and they said it is progressing well and all that. But I have a serious problem. We have not got anything from the European leaders. Nothing. They are all there. Their representatives are there, but no comment from any of them. I think the Europeans will have something to say when it comes to final meeting.
Very fascinating observation. I want to quote one very smart observation by John Franklin Lennon. He was telling in a podcast, you know why Donald Trump is very busy to stop all the wars in the world, because he himself will start war with Venezuela, Cuba, and he will take Greenland in 12 hours operation. Ladies and gentlemen, another very important quote I have been very amazedly reading out this morning. Ralph Hartman has written, in 19th century and in 20th century, world has seen the number of countries has grown up, but after 50 years, world will see the number of countries will be getting down. Very important things to observe. Norman, I just want to take your last take on this matter. What do you think? What Democrats are talking about? What other allies of Donald Trump are talking about? He is taking all decision by himself. He is engaging himself alone. What do you think? One day he gonna dominate everything in the world, because Washington Post has written, forcing Ukraine into large concession risk rewarding aggression, weakening deterrence and setting a dangerous precedent for other conflicts. Washington Post already written, the plan seems rushed and lacks credibility if drafted or heavily influenced by Russia. It may undermine trust and worsen divisions. If anything doesn't go in favor of Donald Trump, he says fake news. What is your comment?
Thank you for the question. If you look at this situation in a I guess a global sense, uh, one will understand that the Trump administration has a plan, and the plan is for a global domination, not militarily, but I'm talking financially. There's things being put in place, even with the situation in Ukraine and Russia. That is a favor for Russia, which in turn will be a favor for the Trump administration, meaning there's concessions with earth minerals. The U.S. would benefit from that. And he has family members already talking about business deals in Ukraine, and that also benefits Russia, uh, his financial, I guess I'm going to use the word kingdom that's developing. And also the same situation going on with Gaza, Palestine, the same situation. All of these peace negotiation should be, I'll use the term, should be pieces that is being lined up. And somewhere in there, the Trump administration and the Trump family benefits on these type of arrangements and pieces deals. So the deals are basically heavy favor for economic development for his future and relationships with terms of commerce, trade, development. All these things goes back to the Trump family, and they are heavily developing, and the future looks like a domination of the Trump clan, family, kingdom.
All right, Norman, on the other side, the Fox News radio has seriously and admired President Trump. They has broadcasted the proposal could serve as a breakthrough diplomatic path to end a long, costly war, saving lives and stabilizing Europe. The radio is also telling Trump's involvement signals that major global powers are still engaging, which may drive momentum for peace rather than stalemate. I'll go for a short commercial break, but I want to get one impression from both of the gentlemen in the studios. Are two big giant media house in United States, Fox by Republican and Washington Post by Amazon, I mean Jeff Bezos. You have heard the comment they are passing. Do you still think media is still free in America, sir? First, you.
The quick answer would be no, but all of the administration is being criticized by both sides of the party. It's all usually CNN versus Fox, as you know, and Fox is now being the mouthpiece of whatever Donald Trump stipulates as of recent.
Do you enjoy it as a media business entrepreneur?
It's fun to watch, but it's also hard to get an analysis for what is actually happening in the United States.
One more question, sir. My curiosity, do you still believe that they maintain that standard of editorial policies, the level we maintain?
Of course, there is maintenance of that kind of standards. However, the sources must be realigned, rechecked on a day-to-day basis.
Sir, may I have your comment on this? Because we follow the American medias, British medias, European medias, but see their condition, documented.
Yes. And what is happening in Britain?
Yeah.
Merger by purchase, acquisition. So there also the rightist voice is going to get up. So where do you get these things? Neutral news or neutral views or things are very uncommon. But still Britain has some, but America, if you say something which goes against the president, you saw the other day, ABC the girl.
ABC
I didn't
is
see
fake news. That's what he said.
Yeah, he
yes,
said.
yes. Fake news.
Yes, sir. When
you
I
won't ask me any question further.
Yes, sir. When
Exactly.
I'll be back, I'll ask a question to Norman. Do you really enjoy this media battle in America? Media battle is a big battle. Media battle is the dirtiest battle. I'll ask a question about it, Norman. Ladies and gentlemen, coming back after a short break.
সারা দেশে লাখো মানুষের কঠোর কর্মতৎপরতা ও নিষ্ঠায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন 16 কোটি মানুষের হাতের নাগালে। দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ধরে বিশ্বস্ততা ও দ্রুততার সাথে সেবা দেওয়ায় গ্রাহক সেবায় এখন শীর্ষে। বাংলাদেশে গ্রাহক সেবার সাফল্যের পর এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন বিশ্ব বাণিজ্য কেন্দ্র সিঙ্গাপুরে। আপনার যে কোনো পণ্য সিঙ্গাপুর থেকে বাংলাদেশে বুকিংয়ের জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন। এসএ পরিবহন প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড, লজিস্টিক্স পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, 22 রবার্টস লেন, সিঙ্গাপুর 218302। ফোন 0065 629 24900। বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিংয়ের জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো 80টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, আপনার সেবা সব সময়।
Welcome, Grand Palace Hotel, Dhaka. A majestic lobby blended.
Temperature going high in the Middle East and political instability is coming soon. Escalation is expected. Ladies and gentlemen, Hezbollah military chief killed. The news says Israeli Defense Forces IDF said they killed the military chief of staff of Hezbollah, Haitham Ali Tabatabi, in a targeted airstrike in Beirut, southern suburb. I want to ask a question to Norman. Why IDF again started this operation where there is a ceasefire is going on, and our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho from day one, he says it is a fragile ceasefire. What is your comment? Is America is pushing well on IDF's operation, Mr. Norman? Tough question for you, I know.
It's a very complicated question. Actually, my response is going to be a little bit more complicated. Is that the United States, while it supports Israel in this campaign for the region, it also recognizes that there's issues with Hezbollah in Lebanon. As you know, we're building one of the largest embassies will be in Lebanon for the whole region. So again, we're going back to the interests of the United States. There's a particular interest in Lebanon and that region for the United States, along with the conflict in Gaza. There's benefits beyond military in that region. There's opportunities for development. There's opportunities for business. There's opportunities for tourism. There's opportunity for development, which is all comes back to the Trump's family plan. As you noticed, there's been members of the Trump family in these regions talking directly with the locals, talking with the officials, developing a future plan. So everything we see now is about the future. How can we develop and help accelerate the process, and at the same time utilize the word peace plan? We make peace so we can make progress is development growth for the rich and the famous.
Right, Norman, I asked one question to ChatGPT and AI, both Gemini as well. Why media has been created? You know, fascinating answer. Media has been created to support or patron the political powers whose business is an electoral business. And media has been created to undermine the opponents. So the intention of creating media is not so good. I asked you, do you enjoy the media battle? Very open, very dirty, very collision among the medias in United States, because you watch almost all kinds of medias backed by Democrats or independents or corporate houses or Republicans, Mr. Norman.
Yes, very interesting comment about media. If you watch what's going on, you become very, let's say, entertained about the different stories and how basically it appears like the media here is turning into a public relations firm or group to promote the current administration. Everything is a positive spin towards the current administration, the ones that are speaking. The ones that opposed that is we're noticing sanctions, restrictions, and investigations are being put onto. So one would seem if you speak up against the current administration, your stock, your ability to make money, your ability to function is going to be severely handicapped. So what we're seeing is the ones that appear to be appeased and supporting of the government in order for their personal survival. So basically, the problem with that is that with artificial intelligence, people are questioning everything that comes out. What is the spin? What is the purpose? How does this really happen? What is the real story? So it creating more stories. So there's a story, but what story is being told? And people are now questioning it globally. Is this truthful or just another propaganda agency for the current government?
All right, Norman, very fascinating journalism you do, very bird's eye journalism, very impartial journalism. I really have great respect to you for your wonderful, articulated, fascinating journalism. I wish you a very good day in Washington. Enjoy the weather, Norman. I want to come back to Shamsirulum Pantho. Sir, as you heard that IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, started their escalation to Hezbollah. Hezbollah is called a backed organization by Iran, and Hezbollah chief military officer has been killed. How do you see it will start another ambush from both the sides to destroy the stability in Middle East currently going on?
Thank you for the question. I want to bring to all the viewers knowledge that it wasn't just the killing of this Hezbollah commander, but there has been build-ups just beforehand. On 18 November of this year, Israel had conducted a drone strike in the Ain al-Hilweh Palestinian refugee camp near southern Lebanon. So this is killing two types of people in one attack. So, or ethnic cleansing. And of course, on the 22nd of November, just a few days after, it had strike a vehicle in Zautar al-Sharqiya, southern Lebanon, killing one person. So these are escalatory issues. And of course, on the 23rd, as we were talking, it has killed military leader or Hezbollah leader. What the beauty of this thing is that the Lebanese president had said he was open to negotiations 2 days prior to this assassination, which the Israeli defense forces and the Israeli government has completely ignored. If they had chosen the path of negotiation, maybe such an escalation would not have been seen. We know that the Lebanese Independence Day was just around the corner of this attack. So it's not just attack on the people, it's also attack on their national identity, as far as I understand it. And yes, this came as Benjamin Netanyahu had ordered upon the recommendation of Defense Minister Israel Katz and Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir to carry out this attack. So what I understand is this is just heightened tensions between these countries, Syria as well as Lebanon, as of course we cannot disorientate from the Gaza issue as well. And all of this is meant to pressurize its surroundings. And eventually, from what I understand, is that all of these nations are going to come together to understand whether or not Israel deserves to be called a state.
Sir, one interesting quote I want to take from Bernie Sanders, former presidential candidate for United States from Democratic Party, who loses his primary with Hillary Clinton. In the Tea Party, he has been asked, who going to stop Benjamin Netanyahu? He looked at the audience and he said, if a lion leads a military, lion and its military maintains a standard, but it's a dog leads the military of a country, it always barks and disturbs others, finally bite. According to editorial policy, I cannot go into details. I want to come to My very favorite Ali Ahmed, former member, Customs, NBR, very learned person, said, what are the immediate risk of escalation triggered by the strike in Beirut for Lebanon, Israel and the wider Middle East?
I would like to start from a little with a little bit of background. You see, the old proverb, give a dog a bad name and hang him. So the West and even the UN have given the bad name to these organizations like Hezbollah and all that they are not states, they are terrorists. So once they are terrorists, it is the responsibility of the Western world and their lackeys like Israel to kill them, and these go unaccounted for because they are not citizens of any state. That is how they get scot-free with all these borders, these killings. But then again, Lebanon is a recognized country, is a member of the United Nations, and this targeted killing means coming through AI using that thing, stating and we have seen that house in a place, it is there. So if you kill from Israel even and through this AI and the man dies, how can it go like this, and why should it go like this? Why doesn't the USA, its master, its leader and its commander is USA, they should say something. Definitely, because others cannot. Israel now listens only to USA, but for a while he smiles a little and ceasefire comes, it goes after 2-3 days and he starts bombing, sending all these killing missions, and the man there in Washington or wherever he is, Mr. Donald Trump, he smiles. Does he not see this? Does he not read this news? Does he not hear this? It is their planned execution and to make the Palestinians a minority. Even if they have to finally live in one state, the Palestinians will be a minority. And if they have to give them a state, they will make it not viable at all. What is Mr. Donald Trump doing after all this drum beating about the peace prize and all those things? He knows all these things. So this is a very bad luck for the whole world, that after recognition even by UK, France and all those countries, Western countries, people are still being killed with this being the target of targeted killings. This is very unfair, very wrong, very vile, and just cannot be accepted.
Do you want to call it a long-term master plan by Washington and Westerns?
It's a master plan.
Do you expect anything for the Palestinians from Washington?
Washington is not going to do much, at least so far as Donald Trump is there. But he might even be ousted before his term is over. There are things in his country also. Others are going to move very greatly. He may not have this 4 years.
Interesting topics you have pushed on the table, but I need to know more about this incident, sir. From you, how does the targeting of a senior Hezbollah commander impact the balance of power and deterrence in the wider region of Middle East?
The wounds have not healed. That is, these are the words I would like to describe the situation in the Middle East. Israel had attacked Qatar. Israel has attacked Iran. Israel has attacked Syria.
Even Qatar.
Israel has attacked
Qatar,
Lebanon. Who has Israel not attacked? That's the question right now. I want to summarize this entire issue regarding the Middle East and of course Israel by saying this, that when there was a terrorist activity in New York, the Twin Towers had fallen, and there were some that said that Iran, Iraq and all of these countries have weapons of mass destruction, WMD. Well, in contrary, I would want to say that when Israel had to take off or take out the top military brass of the IRGC's, the Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, they did it in such a meticulous manner that they had wiped them out from their own homes. They had used precision strikes.
Killing them anywhere.
Killing them anywhere. So, and they would not stop at the face of Qatar. And they attacked a diplomatic village in Qatar just in an attempt to kill 5 Hamas personnel, who was of course there to mediate. That is the gruesomeness of Israel. And every day that Benjamin Netanyahu is giving lead, they are forgetting the fact that having such a stance towards other countries will only make them united in the removal of Israel as a pariah state.
I have a different news, sir. Not only in Lebanon, ladies and gentlemen, according to Gaza government media office, Israel has violated the US brokered ceasefire at least 497 times in 44 days, resulting in hundreds of deaths, including civilians in Gaza. The violations include airstrikes, blocking aid from NGOs and different countries, donors, medical supplies, and undermine the humanitarian protocols of the ceasefire. Ladies and gentlemen, we have more issues to discuss. I want to go into G20 Johannesburg summit, because this is very important at this stage. G20 summit in Johannesburg concluded with a declaration emphasizing solidarity, equity and sustainability. Notably, the US under Donald Trump did not sign on the full statement, creating a notable division. I want to ask a question to Ali Ahmed. How significant is the G20's shift to emphasize toward global south and climate financing in the summit, because as a country like Bangladesh did not get any benefit from this kind of summit?
After this G20 grouping was made, this is for the first time that they are going to have a meeting in, it's finished by now, in Africa, South African Republic. So that is significant. But then also very significant is that the richest country of the world, United States, under Donald Trump's leadership, abstain from this, saying that he will not attend, America will not join the G20 because South Africa massacres the white men. And South Africa, there are often riots and all those things. Only white men are not killed. All types of white, brown and everything. So this is a very bad, how do I say, alibi for Donald Trump to say this. But then they have covered a lot of grounds. They couldn't do much, but still talked of reducing poverty and all those things. But it lacked substance to some extent, but inequality and all those things, economic development and all those things came. But when America is not there, so it was a little lifeless in his absence.
I think Shamsul Alam Pant, our international affairs commentator, has very correct reply. What are the implications of the US refusal to fully endorse the G20 declaration for global multilateralism?
Thank you for the question regarding global multilateralism. Of course, we understand this is a multipolar world, or at least the world is moving towards such a scenario. But this is not the first time that US had said, I'm not going to be a part of your grouping. US has systematically removed itself from UNESCO, the World Health Organization. It does not believe in climate change. All of these issues are making US step out of that one world order, or the leader of the free world status that it used to have. Right now, the G20 had adopted the theme solidarity, equality and sustainability. And of course, it was the first ever G20 summit to be held in South Africa. The allegations, however, of the white genocide, as Donald Trump touts it, how apartheid had taken a different role this time around, and that South African administration was complicit in these matters. These are definitely serious concerns, but that is an internal matter for South Africa. There should not be any reason why the US should step out of such an opportunity, whether it or not it be Donald Trump as the President of the United States. It could be a special envoy visiting this meeting. It could be Secretary of State Marco Rubio visiting this grouping of the 20 nations. However, they have stepped out, and of course there was a critical mineral and industrial development deal amongst all of these nations, which will shape the upcoming economic ties. And if you recollect the BRICS summit that happened, even then Donald Trump had a severe reaction. Today he had reacted by not attending this global forum.
Right, sir. I think I'm sure you can remember what Donald Trump has, how he behaved with the South African president in Oval Office.
Yes,
that
of course,
was a very different kind of unprecedented behavior by the President of the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have very important issues. COP30 climate summit in Belém in Brazil, but we have to go for a short commercial break.
elegance with modern design. Experience 5-star comfort in suites and rooms. Sophisticated fine dining restaurant. Crystal clear swimming pool for ultimate relaxation. Modern gym and serene spa for well-being. Perfect venue for corporate events, weddings and parties. Seamless and secured. Elegant and eye-catching design. Indulge, relax, discover the first 5-star chain hotels in Bangladesh. Grand Palace Hotel Dhaka, 22 Kakrail, Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Welcome to Grand Club at Mirpur 10 Dhaka. Elegant spa and wellness facility for ladies and gents. Play pool and snooker in international standard billiard zone.
The COP30 climate talks ended with an agreement that included tripling adoption finance about 120 billion annually and the creation of a just transition mechanism. The word transition mechanism, I really like the word, and I want to make a question to our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto regarding this transition mechanism. Sir, what does the creation of a just transition mechanism signify for climate justice and equity? And of course, don't forget to put your rights as a citizen of this country, because we are at the highest risk.
Thank you for the question. I understand that the conclusion that came out of COP30 was that there's going to be a big climate finance package. Countries have agreed to mobilize about US 1.3 trillion per year by 2035. So that's a big commitment coming out of this meeting held in Belém, Brazil. But it's not only so that we must think about a phase out from using fossil fuels on a daily level into more innovative and strategic innovations which help us move away from the dependencies of these elements, which are of course affecting worldwide situations. I want to give an example before I have to answer this question. There is a deep depression in the Bay of Bengal. This is the end of November. That sounds very wrong. Monsoon used to finish way before October. Now it's end of November and we're seeing a monsoon-like activity that is happening in the Bay of Bengal. That is as of recent. So that just shows us that we are still not spared this year. Before on this very show, I would comment that Bangladesh has not faced a big cyclone as of this season, but one is still brewing in our corridor. There is several assessments and criticisms. The positive, which says that there is a climate adaptation of finance, or every country will have to now finance this climate change that is affecting. And of course, first world nations have a duty to provide for those who cannot sustain economic progress due to changes in climate. We see the destruction of Jamaica, an island nation in the Caribbean, due to probably the biggest cyclone of this year. And what are the stance of countries that are surrounding it? It was not just Jamaica that was infected, it was Cuba, Trinidad and Tobago. So it was a host of countries that was affected in the Caribbean. These are just one such example. But this year on, they have decided that the next COP summit will be held in Turkey, COP31 to be held in Turkey. And of course, Turkey, we know, is the crossroads of the world. It unites the West to Asia as well. So once again, that multilateralism prevailed. And despite the geopolitical tensions, COP is now looking forward with real progress.
So let me do a direct question. Can adoption finance of $120 billion annually be mobilized in time and be effective, because past track record is not satisfactory?
Of course, whether it be in time or not is a matter of question, but the next great disaster will not wait for anyone's financing. It will wreak havoc and create disasters in various parts of the world. It is how the humans decide how they are going to counter the aftermaths of these nature's events.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. I want to come to Ali Ahmed, sir. Sir, why did fossil fuel producing nations block stronger language, and what does that mean for global climate ambition? Do you think this COP30, because it is 30th number, before we have seen COP 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 29, and sir already said that COP31 will be in Turkey. Do you think it will actually be able to solve the problem for a country like Bangladesh, whose coastal belt areas are in huge risk?
Yes. In fact, this fossil fuel, if you mark in the declaration, this fossil fuel has not been mentioned at all by name. So, this is a great failure, but if the others would insist that it has to be there, then there would be no resolution, no decision. So, they thought it is better that we get some money for the suffering countries, or the countries would be affected, but fossil fuel is kept out of it, because the great carbon emitting countries, China, India, USA, Brazil and all those, they are the big countries, and they, if they do stop or if they commit to reduce, their industrialization will be reduced as they feel, as they say. So, that is why they are not agreeing to this, and America's absence this time has a strength in the others also. So, we have to be satisfied with this, but fossil fuel has to be reduced in order to save this carbon emission and rising of the water level and all those things. So, it has to be done.
All right, sir. For Bangladesh or a similarly vulnerable country
like Maldives.
Yes, like Maldives. What should be the top priorities emerging from COP30? Because our current interim chief, he has written a book, Zero Carbon.
Yes, that is quite so popular, but we must understand whether the leaders that choose to represent us today and of course in the upcoming election, whether or not they understand that various universities across the globe has predicted by the year 2100, half of Bangladesh's southern belt is going to be underwater and Maldives will vanish. So, we of course need to have a proper installment of a government who actually will take into account the effects of climate change, especially on Bangladesh.
I really appreciate for these powerful and very patriotic words you have used today in our show. I always have great respect for this, for you, for your concerns, sir. My last question to you: what role do developing countries, even like Bangladesh, have in pushing the agenda forward, especially if major emitters lack? I have only, yes, sir, I have only 1 minute.
Well, major emitters as we have named, China, India, USA, Brazil and all the countries are coming after
Russia,
that.
Venezuela, South
Russia,
Africa.
Yes. So, what can we do with them? We can only request them, and these global meetings that we have, like this COP30 that we have said, there was a lot of discussions, praise, but we could not make them agree to it, and fossil fuel was not mentioned at all. But what is needed is decarbonization. Of course, is a last lofty dream, but we can gradually reduce the carbon emission, and that is the hope and expectation, and also the target of the people who are steering this movement. But I sometimes feel very bad about it. But for the time being, this huge fund that we have, we may try to build embankments and all those things, or channelizing river flow and all those things. That will ameliorate the problem to some extent, but for ultimate solution lies in decarbonizing, maybe not fully, but greatly. Otherwise, you don't survive. Bangladesh goes one of the first
I am
countries.
so grateful to my very humble, distinguished, knowledgeable panelists today in this studio and from Washington. I have a special thanks to Ali Ahmed and Shamsul Alam Pantho for putting so many thought-provoking contents on the studio and on the topics today. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you tomorrow with a new panelist, new topics, but we will focus on COP30 outcome. I want to say have a good day.